everybody, my name is Alex and today I'm going to be doing the Avengers Book Tag. By the time you're seeing this tag, Avengers Endgame has been out for about 2 weeks. I have seen it. I saw it actually the day that Game of Thrones episode 3 was on, so it broke me. But it was phenomenal. This tag is a little bit older, so there will be no spoilers for Endgame. You can just sit back and watch the tag. I was not tagged to do this, I just found it and decided to do it. The original tag was created by YA By The Way, and I will link the original video down below. So without further ado, let's get started. Question number 1 is Iron Man, a first book in a series. I did not look at these questions ahead of time, by the way. And for this one, I'm gonna go with Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. I have heard it pegged as Game of Thrones for YA, which I would totally agree with. There's a lot of political intrigue, very heavy fantasy elements, and a lot of different characters that we follow kind of vying for the throne or their families vying for the throne. And it's been a bit since I've read it, so I don't remember all of the details, but I just remember absolutely loving it. I gave it 5 out of 5. It kept me on the edge of my seat the whole way through, and I am so excited to continue with this series. Number 2 is Hulk, a book that you can't talk about because it would make you angry, and people wouldn't like you when you're angry. It's hard for me to really think of a book that would make me angry, but one that just comes to mind is Moby Dick by Herman Melville. I was an English major in college and I had to read Moby Dick twice and couldn't stomach it either time. I just hate that book. And my professor thought that Moby Dick was the great American novel, and I swear every class that we talked about that book, I had to fight him because I just can't do Moby Dick. I can't do it. It's too long. Nobody cares about whales. That is the one book that I don't even think I finished it either time. Or if I did, I skimmed the majority. That one is not for me. Number 3 is Captain America, a book that takes place in World War II. And for this one, I'm actually gonna do a book that I'm reading right now, which is Codename Verity by Elizabeth Wein. This book follows a girl named Verity, and she has been captured by the Germans and is being forced to confess her mission. So the book is just her telling her story, basically. As of now, I'm only about 20% of the way through, but I'm really enjoying it so far. Obviously, World War II is the entire setting of this, so it's very rich in that history, and I'm liking it so far. Number 4 is Thor, a book based on mythology of any kind. For this one, I'm gonna go with a classic pick, and that is the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series by Rick Riordan. This is based in Greek mythology, which I frankly knew nothing about before reading these, and I finished the series this year. Really enjoyed it, loved it as a middle grade, and I'm really hoping to jump into some of his other work sometime soon. Number 5 is Black Widow, a side character that you would love to get their own book. For this one, I'm going for a character from another middle grade series, and that is Hawthorne Swift from the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend. The main character is Morrigan Crow, and she has been told her whole life that she will die on her 11th birthday. But right before her 11th birthday, a man named Jupiter North comes in and swoops her away to this magical school, and things kind of unfold from there. Morrigan's best friend in this series, his name is Hawthorne, and he is just hysterical. I love everything about him. I think he's a precious little cinnamon roll, and I would love to see him get his own book. Number 6 is Hawkeye, a book that you love, but everyone else seems to dislike. This one might be cheating a little bit, but I'm gonna go with The Selection by Kira Cass. I've heard a lot of people say that they like the first book, but as the series goes forward, the main character gets more and more annoying and they don't like her. I have only read the first book and I highly enjoyed it. I didn't think that I would because I'd been hearing so many things over the years and I thought maybe I was too late to read it and appreciate it for what it is, but I read the first one and I really enjoyed it and I'm really excited to read the rest of the series. Number 7 is Nick Fury, a character with a lot of sass. For this one, I'm gonna go with Kenji Kishimoto from the Shatter Me series by Taha Mafi. I love Kenji. When Kenji was first introduced, I didn't like him very much. I thought he was a little too sassy for my taste, but as I continue to read and his friendship with Juliet just grows, I adore him. I think he's fantastic. He's probably my favorite character in the series so far. Next is Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, a book with a great sibling relationship. For this one, I'm gonna go with the recent read for me, and that is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. The main character in this, Xiomara, has a twin brother who she just calls Twin throughout the story. And they just have a really good relationship with each other. They support each other when they're happy or sad, whatever they're going through. And one thing I think is important is they know when to let each other deal with their own problems. When they see that the other twin is upset, you know, they'll ask and offer to help, but if they need to kind of be on their own to process, they're respectful of that, which I think is super important. They just have a great relationship all throughout the novel, something that I really admired. Another one that I do want to quickly mention is Far from the Tree by Robin Benway. This book is about 3 siblings who were separated at birth and adopted into different families, and they find each other again in this book and start to form a bond, and their story is beautiful. They form an amazing relationship by the end of it. This is my favorite book of all time. The story in general is just phenomenal, and if you haven't read it, I'll take any opportunity I can to plug it. Go and read it. Number 9 is Phil Coulson, a book that you wish would be adapted for the big or small screen. This book, I believe, is in talks to be adapted, but I'm gonna go with The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Again, it's been a while since I've read this one, but it is so atmospheric. The plot just weaves together so well. It's beautifully written, and I feel like it would translate gorgeously onto screen. Number 10 is Loki, a villain that you just can't help but love. For this one, I don't want to say too much about the villain because I don't want to spoil the series for anybody that hasn't read it, but I'm going to go with the villain in The Diviners by Libba Bray. I just feel like this villain has evolved a lot throughout the series, and we've seen them really come into their villainous ways. I don't know if that makes any sense. This series is actually wrapping up, I think either late this year or early next year, and I can't wait to see what happens. Our bonus question is Ant-Man, the next book on your TBR. Now, as you guys have heard in previous videos, I read most of my books electronically and only some of them physically, so my next ebook that I'm planning to get to is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is a World War II historical fiction novel following 2 sisters on opposite sides of the war. It was very popular last year, still remains very popular, and I'm really excited to see this one through. And as far as physical books go, one that I would really like to read soon is A Very Large Expansive Sea by Tahar Mafi. This book follows our main character, Shireen, I believe is how it's pronounced, and she is a Muslim teenager living in America in 2002, which is the year after the 9/11 attacks. And it basically follows her life and how she's trying to navigate this world. People thinking that the fact that she is Muslim means that she's a terrorist, all the hate and prejudices that she has had to deal with. I've heard that this is a very powerful story. I love everything Tahar Mafi does, and I'm very excited to get to this one. So that is it for the Avengers book tag. Thank you so much for watching. I'm not going to tag anybody, but if you want to do this as well, I will leave the original link down in the comments below so you can get all the questions. And if you want to answer any of these questions or talk about any of the books that I mentioned here today, just drop all of that in the comments down below. So until next time, bye!